Hey, what it do, sports world? Welcome to the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray Diggs. I got a great segment for you all. I want to talk about the SEC championship game and why I think the number 8 team in the nation can defeat the number 1 team in the nation. Yes, I do feel that the Alabama Crimson Tide can really beat the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. But listen, before I get started, hey, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And also make sure y'all comment on this segment so we can discuss what you all think. Can number 8 Alabama beat number 1 Georgia in the SEC championship game? Now we're going to go down and we're going to break down. Like I just said, I think that the Alabama Crimson Tide can defeat the Georgia Bulldogs. This team right here is riding a 27-game winning streak. This team right here hasn't lost a game since the SEC championship game 2 years ago, in which they lost to this Alabama team, Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide. And the reason why I think Alabama can defeat Georgia, number 1 being Nick Saban. If we go back to the SEC championship game in which Alabama won the game 41-24, it wasn't even close. And that was the year that Georgia was probably the most dominant team over that span that I had ever seen. When it comes down to defensive, it was the most dominant defenses since I've seen since even the 2012 Alabama Crimson Tide team that was dominant just like that. Alabama came into the game and pretty much slapped them around. Now, if you remember that game, Alabama lost one of their best receivers, John Metchie, which was injured, tore his ACL in that game. Now, when they got to the national championship game in which Jamison Williams was cooking Georgia, Alabama was in prime position to beat them again for a national championship. Now, I'm not going to make excuses because injuries happen, but you do know how the game turned. When Jamison Williams went down, that is when that game changed over. Nick Saban had their perfect game plan in place to defeat this Georgia Bulldog team. And I got a feeling that he got another one in store for them in the SEC championship game. I think Tommy Rees, is already working on a game plan to where they can exploit this Georgia Bulldog defense. Now, this right here is a really good defense. Now, we're going to talk about the statistics of this thing. The stats of this thing is basically even. Now, at the quarterback position, we have 2 first-year starters. We have Carson Beck and we have Jalen Milroe. Which quarterback do I feel is more dangerous? I think it's got to be Jalen Milroe. And the reason why is because he can make things happen with his legs. Now, I will say I feel like Carson Beck is a better passer, easily the better passer, easily the bigger quarterback. Georgia easily have the bigger offensive line. As you can see, Carson Beck has only been sacked 5 times, while Jalen Milroe has been sacked 33 times. Now, a lot of those sacks is Jalen Milroe's fault. A lot of those sacks are on the offensive line. But I got a feeling in this game right here, Nick Saban and Tommy Rees can put the perfect game plan in place for Alabama to exploit this Georgia Bulldog defense. Because this Georgia Bulldog defense is not dominant like they have been. Yes, they destroyed Tennessee, they destroyed Ole Miss, but those teams right there had went through a spell. They had went through like a couple of games where they had been, dominated, like against Alabama. Alabama pretty much dominated Tennessee. Now now when they played against Ole Miss, it was more of a closer game. But pretty much they dominated Ole Miss as well. They defense pretty much took that game over. So it wasn't like that these 2 teams came in the game undefeated. They had been, they had pretty much already been exported. So I feel when this comes to these 2 teams, now when you look at the stats again, these 2 teams are coming in. Alabama's coming in 10-1. Georgia's coming in at 11-0. As you know, riding a 27-game winning streak. Both of these teams are averaging high points on offense. Georgia averaging 40. Alabama averaging 37. Georgia have a better points per game defense, in which they're only allowing 15 points, while Alabama is allowing 17 points per game. On the offensive side, Georgia's a more explosive offense. If you look at it, Georgia is averaging over 500 yards a game, while Alabama is averaging only 400. When it comes to passing, Georgia is averaging 323 yards. Now, I will say this, Carson Beck is a more better passer. Jalen Milroe is a more dual threat quarterback. Now, Alabama is averaging 230 yards. On the rushing, they're both even, 178 to 176. Now, on the defensive side, these are two evenly matched defense. Who do I think is the more dangerous defense? I think it's Alabama because Alabama has played against better offenses when it comes to LSU. Georgia never played LSU. You see, like honestly, I think LSU puts up numbers against Georgia, same way they did against Alabama, but they never played against them. And I just feel like them meeting against Ole Miss and Tennessee when they met them, it was after Alabama had already pretty much destroyed both of those teams. So they basically played them at the end of the season. It's like Alabama had a stretch where they was facing Ole Miss, then Tennessee, then LSU. See, Georgia never went through a stretch like that. Georgia might play against, Missouri. Missouri's good. I think they're a little overranked, but it is what it is. They are a good team. So they did not have to go. They did not have to play against Texas A&M one week. Ole Miss the next week. Well, Mississippi State the next week. Ole Miss the next week. LSU the next week. Tennessee. Like they didn't have a stretch like this. So that is the reason why I think that this team. See, Georgia might play against a bad team this week, and then they'll play against Tennessee next week, and then they'll play another bad team the next week. They always had a week in between. Alabama had a stretch where they were just facing nothing but really, really good teams. So which defense is more battle tested? I think, honestly, Alabama is a more battle tested defense. Now, we're going to find out, can Alabama defensive line get pressure on Carson Beck? Because if he can't, Carson Beck is going to pick them apart. And Nick Saban knows this. Now, these are two really good defense. If you look at it, both of them, Georgia's allowing 288, Alabama 310. So these are two of the best defenses in college football. When you look at the passing yards, it's 178 to 192, rushing 109, 110 to 117. So these are two evenly matched defenses. Who do Alabama need to worry about on the offensive side? Brock Bowers, yes, the best tight end in college football. Yeah, maybe even the best football player. I think Caleb Williams, but hell, Brock Bowers is definitely a top 5 player in college football. That's one player. They have to worry about McConkley. McConkley, he's one of those wide receivers that can get down the field and get open, get touchdowns. Who do Georgia got to worry about? Burden, he's one of those fast receivers. Isaiah Bond, they can get down the field. They can get behind the defense. Prentice can get in the one. I'm going to tell y'all something. In this game right here, it's going to come down to the tight end. I got a feeling it's going to come down to Knobloch, the tight end from Alabama. I got a feeling that he is the person in this game that can have a big game against this Georgia team. I know y'all this kid right here is going to be a hell of a player next season. He's going to be one of the best tight ends in college football next season. And this is one of the games what could be his coming out, like the Irv Smith. This can be his coming out party right here. This can be his time where he showed that I'm one of the best tight ends. He's big, he's fast, he's built like a wide receiver. So he's one of those, he's built like the wide receiver that came from Florida a couple years ago. So he's the guy that can really put a lot of pressure on this Georgia defense because they've never seen a tight end like this season. Nobody else got tight ends like this. And that is the reason why I think Alabama is going to have to use everything. Now, Alabama got speed. Like I said, they got Burden, they got Isaiah Bond, they got Prentice, they got Nick Block, Knobloch. Yes, they have Kendrick Law. Kendrick Law can come in and run the ball. This team right here is prime. Then on the running, both of these teams are really, really good running teams. You got Edwards, you got Milton, and on Alabama, you got McClellan, you got Roydell Williams, you got Justice Hayes, you got Young. Yeah, you got Miller. So you got a lot of, and also you got Jalen Milroe. The good thing about Georgia, the good thing about Alabama defense, they don't have to worry about Carson Beck taking off running. But Georgia have to worry about him taking off. they have to worry about him taking off. And I think his leg is what can really pretty much make that Georgia defense, make them secondary come up and have to play around the line of scrimmage to where you can get Isaiah Bond and Burden down the field wide open, 1-on-1 on a cornerback or a safety. That is going to be what I'm eager to see that Nick Saban exploit, him and Tommy Rees. Now, I think they're already game planning for Georgia. And I got a feeling that this team is going to be a whole different team that we see in Atlanta on December 2nd. This is the reason why I think that this Alabama Crimson Tide team can and will defeat the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. And this is the reason why. It's because of these things. Now, Carson Beck, like I said, he is not a runner. He's a thrower. He had 3,000 yard passes, 21 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. Like I said, he's only been sacked 8 times. Jalen Milroe, he have 100 less passes than him, but he have 1,000 less yards than him. He have 2,200 yards passing, 19 touchdowns. So he only have 2 less touchdowns than him, and 6 interceptions. But he's been sacked 33 times. That's a lot. But when you look at it, you got Carson Beck pretty much carried the ball 47 times. That's one of the reasons why he's only been sacked 8 times. He don't have to run. Jalen Milroe, he have over 110 carries for over 300 yards. So that is the reason why he gets sacked so much, because sometimes he don't need to run and he take off running and he gets sacked. So some of these sacks are on him. Some of these sacks, and also you got to think about it. Jalen Milroe have 12 rushing touchdowns. So not only do he have 19 passing touchdowns, he have 12 rushing touchdowns. Now, this is the reason why I say this game right here is one of those chess matches. It's going to be a chess match between Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. And this is the reason why I feel that Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide is going to have the perfect game plan, because they have the ultimate X factor, Jalen Milroe's leg. As long as he continues to use his leg the right way and make Georgia uncomfortable, that's what you have to do. You have to make Georgia uncomfortable. You have to come out there and you have to actually put points up on them. You have to make them feel, okay, this team right here is going to score with us. If you can do that, and that's what Alabama did in the SEC championship game a couple years ago. They came out there and they drove the ball down the field on the first drive. If you look at it, I think the first drive they didn't, but the second drive they drove the ball straight down the field and actually went for a touchdown. So that Georgia defense didn't know what hit them, because they had never had anybody to score points like that. What did Alabama do? They continue to score. They scored at will. So at halftime, this Georgia team, you got this Alabama team. This Alabama team feel like we can win this game. And that is exactly what this team here have to do. You have to come into the game and you have to show them no respect. You have to come into the game and you have to hit them first, and you have to hit them often. And I think that this Alabama Crimson Tide team can and will defeat the #1 Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. Now, I will say this. I do feel like Georgia and Alabama should, if Alabama beats Georgia, I think Georgia is still one of the 4 best teams in college football, and they should still get in the college football playoff. But knowing the committee, which I think the committee is clearly against the SEC this year, because clearly they want they want Texas to get in. They want Oregon to get in. They want one of those Pac-12 teams to get in. And we know what Pac-12 teams do when they get in the college football playoff. They get slapped around. That's basically what they always have done. So why is the committee against it? Why are they so against the SEC? Are they tired of watching these teams play against each other? Well, hell, if you're tired of watching them, then tell somebody else that they need to come and they need to challenge these teams. Because at the end of the day, I'm putting in a 10-1, 11-1 Alabama. I'm putting in 11-1 Georgia over an undefeated Washington. I'm putting them in over, maybe even over, definitely over 11-1. Well, Oregon, they got to play against Washington. But I would even put them in over 11-1 11-1 Oregon. Yes, I got the Oregon flag back here as well, but that's just, that's my backdrop. And I like Oregon. But in the end, it's about the 2 best teams. And I just feel like Georgia and Alabama is still 2 of the best teams in college football. And that's why I say, whoever wins this game, Alabama have more. Georgia have more to lose. Alabama, they have a lot to lose, but they don't have more than Georgia. And the reason why I say that is because Georgia is undefeated. They are the two-time defending national championship, trying to go two-time defending national championship, going for a three-peat, first three-peat in history. If they lose this game, they will not get in the college football playoff. They just won't. And that's why I say the Georgia team, they're gonna have to be focused. Now I'm gonna talk about this game right here a little bit more as it gets closer. But right now, my thing is, I think that Alabama can and will defeat Georgia at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta on December 2nd for the SEC championship game. And I think Nick Saban and this team, I think they went through adversity early. They went through all the adversity early, and I think this right here what made this team a better team. I look forward to Alabama coming out here against Auburn and flexing their muscles. I look forward to them coming out and pretty much beating them down early. I feel like they want to come out here and show them that y'all don't belong on the field with us, and we're going to show you that you don't belong on the field with us. That's what I expect for this Alabama Crimson Tide team this week as they travel down to Auburn to face the Auburn Tigers. That's what I expect. But hey, man, y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all feel that Georgia can defeat Alabama, or do y'all feel that Alabama can defeat this juggernaut that they got down there in Georgia and the Georgia Bulldogs, the number one team in the nation? Do you all feel that this right here would be another game where Georgia will dominate? Like I said, give me your comments in the comment section and let's talk about it. Let's debate it. Let's see, can we debate on who is the better team out of this? I don't think the better team really matter. I think who's going to play better on that day. That's what I think it is. And I thought Georgia got it in the back of their head 2 years ago when Alabama pretty much came into the game as a big underdog, which they will come in as the underdog again. But you see what happened in that game, 41-24. But Georgia got their get back. Georgia got their get back in the national championship game, in which they won that game 33-18. But like I said, it was injuries. Injuries really pretty much ruined that game. But I'm not gonna make excuses. Georgia won that national championship. Injuries happen. That's a part of football. But when you look at it, that Georgia Bulldog team right there knew that this Alabama Crimson Tide team in that national championship, if they didn't lose their star wide receiver, Jamison Williams, would have most likely won another national championship. But hey, listen, make sure y'all give me your feedback. Make sure y'all comment on this segment and what you all think. And make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. All right. Like I said, it costs 0 cents to support. Hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great segment of the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray D. Hey, y'all, peace and have a great Thanksgiving, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Peace.